break from the heat, but we're challenging records once again later this week. How hot it's going to get and when storms return.
Wilson shootout. A man accused of shooting a woman and 2 law enforcement officers outside the courthouse is due in court today. What we're learning about a possible motive in this shooting.
Pressure on prices. Today, we'll get more insight into how inflation is affecting your family. Why an economist says data centers are playing a big role in increasing cost.
We're following those stories and your morning commute. WRAL News at 8 and Fox 50 starts in 30 seconds.
Now be careful with Hardee's new hot honey. You'll get lost in that made-from-scratch hot honey chicken biscuit. Right now, get the hot honey chicken biscuit or any chicken biscuit for just $3.99. Only at Hardee's.
What's up, Bubba? Hey, Brad. Did we win something?
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Partner with some chicken.
Yeah.
Right now on the app, My Rewards members get the Bubba Wallace Full Throttle Tenders Meal with a collectible Hardee's card.
Your #1 source for local news. This is WRAL, coverage you can count on.
Good morning. Thanks so much for being here with us at the 8 o'clock hour. I'm Destiny Patterson.
And I'm Ken Smith. Listen, so another warm day. Not, boy, those temperatures are really getting up there. So let's get over to meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, tracking it all for us.
Yeah, this will feel like nothing compared to later in the week. A nice start to the morning, especially as you go from the Triangle northward. Henderson's at 67, Roanoke Rapids 69, Rocky Mountain, Wilson at 74, Raleigh and Durham in the low to mid 70s, Siler City around 70 degrees. Areas like Smithfield and Irwin at about 73. So overall, warm start, a little on the humid side, but we'll see that gradually breaking up from the Triangle northward as we head deeper into the afternoon. Temperatures will rise into the low to mid 80s as we get closer to lunchtime. And then beyond that, we'll gradually see more sunshine taking over and temperatures reaching the mid to upper 80s. But the high heat does return, especially by Thursday and by Friday. We're going to show you how close we get to record highs, when we could see some heat alerts being issued, and when storms come through to break all that up. Coming up in your complete forecast. Ken?
Hi, Chris. We're picking up some heavy congestion on I-40 in the Lake Wheel Road exit area. You can see those westbound lanes moving away from us. And even in the eastbound lanes, traffic beginning to pick up, but flowing at a nice steady clip. For those westbound lanes, right now, you're looking at a 5-minute delay. So nothing really that's going to make you late. But once you get past the Gorman Street exit, it's really clear sailing all the way over to Cary. As for that northern loop of the Beltline, the majority of the congestion we're seeing between Capitol Boulevard and the I-87 440 interchange. So once you get past Capitol Boulevard, it is clear sailing to Wade Avenue, but right now you're looking at a 9-minute delay. So depending on where you're headed this morning, you have some decisions to make whether or not you want to go to the southern loop or the northern loop of the Beltline. I-87 and Smithfield Road, things are really beginning to get jammed up coming in from Knightdale this morning. We've been noticing that for the last half hour or so. Right now you're looking at a 7-minute delay. We're also picking up some heavy delays around Williams Road for Highway 55 coming in out of Apex. You're looking at a 10-minute delay right now. And for Fenton Wake Forest, you're looking at an 8-minute delay coming into town. You're getting ready to head into the car. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
All right, Ken, thank you. Today, the man accused in a shooting outside the Wilson County Courthouse will make his first court appearance. Investigators say Abdul Mustafa shot a woman and 2 law enforcement officers. What you're looking at right now on your screen is video of Mustafa being taken into custody yesterday morning after that shooting. WRAL's Ali Kadlabar is live outside the Wilson County Courthouse this morning. Ali, this is being investigated as an act of revenge.
Yeah, Destiny, that's what the Wilson County Sheriff says. And just about 24 hours ago, this stretch here in front of the Wilson County Courthouse was a crime scene. There was police tape, officers investigating. And this morning, Abdul Mustafa will be walking through those courthouse doors for his first appearance. This time, he will be a suspect in this case. This video from a witness shows the moment authorities arrested Abdul Mustafa yesterday morning. You can see law enforcement surrounding the 21-year-old before he's ultimately brought to the ground. It comes after Mustafa is accused of shooting 19-year-old Latoya Lucas on the steps of the Wilson County Courthouse, and after he shot at a Wilson County deputy and Wilson police officer. Both officers are expected to be okay. Lucas faces charges for lying to law enforcement about details of a 16-year-old's murder in late June. Wilson County Sheriff says Lucas is related to that alleged shooter. It's not clear what connection Mustafa has to that case, but Wilson County Sheriff says Monday's shooting appeared to have retaliation for that crime. Tawana Burns says she witnessed Mustafa sitting outside the courthouse and then firing at Lucas. Burns says she rushed to help her.
That's someone's baby laying down there. There was no one else. And I just told her, I said, my name is T. I'm here. You're going to feel me touching you. Just calm down. And she was like trying to get up, gasping. You could tell she was scared.
We are working to get an update on the victim's conditions. Mustafa is expected to be in court at 9:30 this morning. We are going to be inside that courthouse, and we will have the latest. Reporting live in Wilson, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
Like Allie said, we'll have full coverage of the Wilson County Courthouse shooting throughout the day. Make sure that you stay up to speed on the WRAL News app and in our evening newscast starting at 4 o'clock.
Well, police in Charborough are investigating after a 16-year-old was injured during a large gathering. This happened at Braswell Park Sunday night. That's near Charborough High School. Investigators say the teen had lacerations and was taken to an area hospital for treatment and is recovering. While police did not say this was a, quote, teen takeover, they did encourage parents and guardians to speak with their children about dangers of attending these types of large gatherings. Well, the teenager accused of firing shots during a 4th of July celebration in Briar Creek is a juvenile detention facility this morning. 16-year-old Justin Brown made his first court appearance yesterday. He's accused of firing into 2 different vehicles. One had 4 children inside. Brown is facing 6 charges, including assault with intent to kill and discharging a weapon into vehicles.
Today, Darlene Graham Nordone will be sworn into the United States Senate. She's the sister of Lindsey Graham. He died over the weekend at the age of 71. Graham Nordone was selected by South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster to serve the remainder of Graham's term. Just a few hours before that announcement, President Donald Trump says he recommended her to be appointed. Graham Nordone says she's honored to step in for her brother.
Lindsey has always been there for me, and now I will be there for him. I think this is what Lindsey would have wanted, and I plan to honor him in this way. Now to Lindsey, I miss you more than I can even put into words, but I'm going to do this. I got it.
Graham's term ends on January 3rd. Because he was up for re-election this year, there will be a new primary election to replace him on the November ballot.
The FBI is investigating the death of Senator Graham out of what they are calling an abundance of caution. Nearly 20 federal agents were spotted outside his D.C. residence yesterday. There does not appear to be any new evidence that suggests anything criminal. Graham died Saturday night, shortly after returning from a trip to Ukraine. The medical examiner says a preliminary finding shows the senator died after his aorta ruptured because of hardening arteries. Well, this morning we'll learn more about how inflation is affecting the prices you pay. A new economic report will come out in the next 30 minutes or so. Let's get to WRAL's Kelsey Coffey. She's live on this story for us this morning. And Kelsey, economists say construction on new data centers all across this country driving up costs for everyday consumers?
Yes, Ken, that pressure on prices is affecting anything from the clothes that you buy for your kids for back to school to purchasing a new computer. This morning, new inflation data could give us some insight into how the AI boom is hitting your pockets. Economists predict that today's report will show a small decrease in inflation since oil prices went down last month during a ceasefire in Iran. That relief is likely short-lived. Duke economist Connell Fullenkamp says the increased demand for data centers is driving up prices for construction materials, technology, and more. A recent study shows North Carolina already has more than 70 data centers, and dozens more will be under construction.
Now we're starting to think that this surge in investment is long-lived and is really seriously going to push prices up kind of across the board. But it's going to be a long-lasting component, and it's going to put upward pressure on prices into the foreseeable future, at least over the rest of this year and well into next year.
That report is scheduled to be released here within the next 30 minutes around 8:30, so we'll be sure to keep you updated on what it says. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Well, I'll tell you what, while we're talking about data centers, it looks like New York, the state of New York, is set to be the country's first statewide statewide moratorium on data centers here. This is an article from NBC News. Let me walk you through this. Basically, this would be for a period of a year. And the goal is meant to make rules to protect the environment and the energy grid. Obviously, you know, as we've been talking about, to have all the AI type of technology that companies want to have, that requires a lot of power. And so this moratorium kind of allows them to work through that, but also the environmental impact to directly address that. New York's Governor Kathy Hochul is set to sign that executive order to make this a reality today. And she says, quote, as data center development threatens to hike up utility bills, deplete our natural resources, and create uncertainty for New Yorkers, it is my responsibility to take action and to lead. But the question is, will that lead to other states doing the same?
Of course, that's something that we've been following very closely here in North Carolina. Cyclospora cases are continuing to rise in North Carolina. The state confirms at least 240 cases have been reported since May 1st. Oftentimes, the parasite is not diagnosed until patients seek medical care. One North Carolina man told WRAL he thought it was just a normal stomach bug. Well, that was until the symptoms refused to let up.
For me, it was the duration of the explosive diarrhea that everyone's talking about. It was a long time. It wasn't just like, oh, I wake up, I had an extra cup of coffee, and it was like, oh man, things are bad. No, it was several days worth, weight loss, dehydration, just feeling of just generally fatigued.
Sounds terrible. Nationwide, the CDC says more than 840 cases have been contracted within the United States. Another 1,500 are under investigation.
Well, staying aware as we come up on 8/11 now, emergency crews in our area facing several challenges trying to rescue kayakers during severe weather over the weekend. But people need to know to avoid these types of situations.
As we head into the upcoming weekend, the heat once again is going to steal the headlines as we're looking at the potential for near record high temperatures. We'll show you how close and how often that happens coming up. $8:15 now. We'll give you the latest update on the tropics. Thankfully, not much of an update to give you in terms of the Atlantic. Not expecting any development in the next 7 days. However, a high chance of development with two different systems in the Pacific. That's where the ocean water is very warm, especially off the coast of Peru. That is what we call the El Nino, and it alters the jet stream or the upper level winds to where they tear apart systems that try to form in the Atlantic. It's not to say that no storms will form this season, but fewer than what we've seen in recent years. Another thing that's kind of cutting off the development is this dry, dusty air that's coming in off the Sahara Desert. This is also pretty common in the months of June and July. So should anything change, we'll let you know on the free WRAL weather app on the hurricane tracking section. You can also find everything you need to know about this week's forecast there, too. Ken?
Like what's happening now, we're going to stay on top of this situation on the I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. You can see the heavy congestion that we are monitoring right now. It's a situation that we see this time of the morning. And right now, you're looking at a 7-minute delay because really and truly, once you get past the Gorman Street exit, it's clear sailing all the way over the Cary. As far as that northern loop of the Beltline, we're looking at a 10-minute delay. But again, the bulk of the congestion is between Capitol Boulevard and the I-87 440 interchange. Right now, you're looking at a 10-minute delay.
Thanks, Ken. The United States carried out strikes overnight against Iran for the third night in a row. President Donald Trump says the U.S. is in control of the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Central Command announced the strikes early yesterday evening. Central Command says the goal is to weaken Iran's ability to strike commercial ships in the strait. President Trump says the U.S. will be reimposing its blockade of Iranian ports. That prompted oil prices to jump 9%. He's proposing a 20% toll on cargo going through the waterway for protection.
I want to be reimbursed because we're protecting a very rich portion of the world. We're spending money. And so what we've done is we are going to be reimbursed for protection. We're protecting by the countries that we're helping.
President Trump notified Congress of the new military actions that's required by law.
A dozen states are suing to block Paramount's pending purchase of Warner Brothers Discovery. The antitrust lawsuit could disrupt Paramount's plans to complete the deal this summer. California's Attorney General says the merger would lead to higher prices, lower quality, and less content for film and television. In a statement, Paramount says the deal will create a company that is better positioned to compete and generate premium content.
3 elementary schools in Wake County will get emergency repairs to fix issues, including significant cracking. Engineers say the worst issues are at Creech Road Elementary. They say students can't be inside the building until the repairs are done. Davis Drive Elementary in Cary and Durant Road Elementary in Raleigh had similar issues. It's not clear how long the repairs will take or just how much they'll cost.
A new audit shows the state agency responsible for monitoring former landfill sites is not doing enough to make sure they aren't dangerous. The Department of Environmental Quality's free regulatory landfill program has 688 sites on its list to monitor. So far, they have not investigated 534 of them. That's about 78%. These former landfills could contain harmful chemicals. Mind you, the majority of these are near homes, schools, and churches.
What this report identifies and highlights, if nothing else, is that it's probably time for a fresh look under the hood of this particular program, and let's put some additional focus and energy behind getting some results on behalf of the people of North Carolina.
State Auditor Dave Bullock's office is working to get more funding and power to investigate former landfill sites that are now privately owned.
In Johnson County, we're learning new information about a weekend water rescue on the Neuse River. 4 people, including 2 young boys, were rescued from the water near Wilson's Mills around 10:30 Sunday night. Nearly 50 first responders rushed to the scene, including 4 swift water rescue teams. The rescue happened despite the tough conditions first responders faced.
A lot of lightning, a lot of trees are coming down, and they said at one point that the river rose about 4.5 feet, I believe is what the measurement that they gave us. You kind of think about it, but it goes to the back of your mind quick because you still have a task to do, and that's what we're all there for.
In the end, no one was hurt. Obviously, good news there. First responders say this is a reminder to always take precautions before getting out on the water. That includes knowing where you are and having a way to alert someone when you're in trouble.
Well, the 2026 World Cup semifinals getting underway today right here in Fox 15 with a match between France and Spain. And tomorrow it's England against Argentina. Both of those games kick off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The winners will play each other in the final on Sunday, again, right here on Fox 15.
Well, it always seems like we are having these SpaceX launches. It seems like they're like every day now. But whenever we get them, I always look forward to the photos like this.
Look forward to the photos. Sometimes, people still have questions about it. So Bradford and Halifax County got that great shot. And then we got this video coming in from Vicky in Durham County, which was really cool, too. You see that rocket just traveling off toward the east and northeast. It goes behind the trees. It comes back out from behind the trees. Still got a nice clear sky earlier this morning in parts of the area to be able to see that. Now we've got a mix of clear sky and some sunshine as we give you a live look at Franklinton, where temperatures are starting out in the low to mid 70s. Cary and Garner, Holly Springs and Fayetteville at 72. Rocky Mount, Wilson and Goldsboro at 74 degrees. So your morning planner, the commute is just fine weather-wise, not tracking any thick fog out there. 10 a.m. temps in the mid-to-upper 70s. By noon, we're in the low 80s. You might get a stray shower in the Sandhills today. Otherwise, humidity levels and clouds gradually decreasing as temperatures are gradually increasing. We'll make it into the mid-to-upper 80s this afternoon. Here we go with Futurecast, and you can see those clouds by midday are mostly going to be toward the Sandhills. That is going to be the case up until about at least 3 p.m. And the later in the night that we go, we'll all start to see that clearing sky and we'll benefit from a little bit of a break in humidity. So by the time sunrise comes around tomorrow, some patchy fog and temperatures in the low to mid 60s. Enjoy that because high pressure really takes over and takes control of our weather as we go later this week. And that sinking air beneath the high leads to more heat. So the orange is your forecast high temperature. The red is the record in Raleigh, and you see just how close we're going to be to record highs both Thursday and Friday afternoons. Now, as we head into the weekend, that area of high pressure I was showing you, it starts to buckle a little bit because of a system that comes in from the north. So that system taps into our heat, gives us the chance for some showers and storms each afternoon this weekend. Some of those could wind up being on the strong side, but it at least takes a little bit of the sting out of the air. So by early next week, we'll see high temperatures in the low 90s. Ken?
All right, so we're staying on top of that heavy congestion that we're picking up on I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. You can see the westbound lanes moving away from us this morning, moving very slowly. So right now, as you widen out the view of that southern loop of the Beltline, you're just looking at a 5-minute delay because once you get past the Gorman Street exit, it's really clear sailing. How about that northern loop of the Beltline, I-440 New Bern Avenue? Again, the westbound lanes moving away from us. Still getting a little jammed up this morning, and really the bulk of the congestion between Capitol Boulevard and the I-440 87 interchange. Right now, you're looking at a 7-minute delay. Now, for those of you using I-540 westbound, here's what you're looking at in terms of your delays. It's a situation where we're picking up a little bit of congestion between Creedmoor Road and the Capitol Boulevard, but in all, you're looking at a 7-minute delay. More news, weather, and traffic after the break.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio in Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Your time now is 8:26. I'm Destiny Patterson. Let's get you over to meteorologist Chris Michaels. Chris, it's going to be a slower build to the heat today, but not as hot as we've seen in other parts of the summer.
You know, at least today is going to feel somewhat comfortable compared to some of those other days. Yeah, Destiny. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s this afternoon, and the humidity is not going to be overbearing. Now, it's not going to be refreshing, but it'll at least be a little less humid this afternoon as compared to, again, what we've seen in recent weeks. However, that changes. High pressure once again takes firm control of our weather later this week. We'll show you how many days come very close to record highs. Once again, that's over on Fox 50. Ken?
All right, Chris, we are staying on top of the congestion that we see this time of the morning on I-40, Lake Wheeler Road. These are the westbound lanes slowly moving away from us this morning. Right now, you're looking at a 5-minute delay on that the southern loop of the Beltline. But as you can see, once you get past Gorman Street, it's clear sailing all the way over to Cary. That northern loop of the Beltline, things are getting better. On Capitol Boulevard, once you get past there, it's clear sailing. You're looking at a 7-minute delay at this hour. Another update on your morning commute at the bottom of the hour.
Well, today, the man accused of shooting a woman and 2 law enforcement officers outside the Wilson County Courthouse will be in court himself today. Investigators say 21-year-old Abdul Mustafa shot 19-year-old Latoya Lucas. Lucas is in critical condition. Mustafa is due in court at 9:30. In the next few minutes, a new inflation data report will give us insight into how the AI boom could hit your pocket. Economists predict today's report may show an inflation decrease since oil prices went down during a ceasefire in Iran. That relief is likely short-lived.
A brief break from the heat, but we're challenging records once again later this week. How hot it's going to get and when storms return.
Wilson shootout. A man accused of shooting a woman and 2 law enforcement officers outside the courthouse is due in court today. What we're learning about a possible motive in this shooting. Pressure on prices. Today we'll get new insights on how inflation is affecting your family. Why economists say data centers playing a big role in increasing costs. Lots to get through this half hour. We're so glad you're with us. I'm Ken Smith.
And I'm Destiny Patterson. Thanks so much for being here with us at Fox 50 in the 8:30 half hour. Let's get you over to meteorologist Chris Michaels. Chris, it's going to be more comfortable today compared to other days this summer.
Yeah, definitely. And compared to where we're headed as we go later in the week. We'll give you a live look at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park and things looking beautiful there. Feeling pretty warm already. Durham's at 72 and temperatures pretty uniform across the board. Temperatures all across the triangle starting out 71 to 73 degrees. So now's really the time to get outside, maybe do some exercise as you head into the afternoon. It's not going to be horrible out there. The humidity does come down a little bit and high temperatures will reach into the mid to upper 80s between about 3 p.m. and about 5 p.m. Heat alerts, however, in effect as you go toward the northern tier of the country from the northern plains to the Great Lakes, the Northeast and New England. We'll show you the couple of days this week where we could wind up with a few of those alerts coming up. Ken?
All right, Chris, happening now at 8:31. If you're getting ready to head out the door, the southern loop of the Beltline, part of your morning commute, this is what you're going to be running into. I-40 Lake Wheeler Road. You can see those westbound lanes moving away from us this morning. So here's what you're looking at in terms of delay. Right now, you're just looking at a 5-minute delay because once you get past Lake Wheeler Road, Gorman Street exits, you're clear sailing all the way over the Cary. Now, northern loop of the Beltline, things are improving slightly as we look live at I-440 and New Bern Avenue. The westbound lanes moving away from us this morning as we widen out the view of the northern loop of the Beltline. Here's what you're looking at because it's a situation where we're seeing an ebb and flow of the congestion, but really and truly you're going to run into it once you get around the Capitol Boulevard exit. But after that, it's just clear sailing all the way over to Wade Avenue. Just a 7-minute delay on that northern loop of the Beltline. For those of you using I-540, here's what you're looking at because we're seeing some congestion between Creedmoor Road and Capitol Boulevard. So from Lewisburg Road all the way over to I-40, you're looking at a 16-minute delay. You're getting ready to head into the car. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Well, today, the man accused of a shooting outside the Wilson County Courthouse is due in court himself. Authorities say he shot a woman and 2 law enforcement officers. At last check, the woman was in critical condition. The officers are recovering and they're expected to be okay. WRAL's Ali Kadlabar is following this story for us.
Well, she's live outside the Wilson County Courthouse this morning where that shooting happened. Ali, investigators say this could be a case of revenge.
Yeah, Ken, that's what the Wilson County Sheriff says. Now, about 24 hours ago, this stretch right in front of the courthouse, it was a crime scene. There was police tape, officers investigating, and this morning, Abdul Mustafa will be returning to the scene, this time for his own court hearing. This video from a witness shows the moment authorities arrested Abdul Mustafa yesterday morning. You can see law enforcement surrounding the 21-year-old before he's ultimately brought to the ground. It comes after Mustafa is accused of shooting 19-year-old Latoya Lucas on the steps of the Wilson County Courthouse, and after he shot at a Wilson County deputy and Wilson police officer. Both officers are expected to be okay. Lucas faces charges for lying to law enforcement about details of a 16-year-old's murder in late June. Wilson County Sheriff says Lucas is related to that alleged shooter. It's not clear what connection Mustafa has to that case, but Wilson County Sheriff Calvin Woodard says Lucas was targeted.
Or the victim is related to the actual person who did the shooting. Possibly could have been some form of retaliation.
And we are working on getting an update of the victim's conditions this morning. We're also working to find out if Mustafa will be facing any additional charges. Mustafa will be in court within the next hour. We will be in the courtroom with the latest. Reporting live in Wilson, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
Of course, this courthouse shooting is the second in our area in recent weeks. Gwendolyn White was indicted for the shooting of 2 attorneys outside the courthouse in Wake County back in May. Wilson Mayor Carlton Stevens says he will work with the sheriff's office to reassess the security at the Wilson County Courthouse. He says changes will be made as needed. Of course, we will have updates on this case throughout the day, including what we learned in that courtroom happening today. Follow along with us on the WRAL News app, and of course, join our evening newscasts starting at 4 this afternoon.
Well, new this morning, there was a major shakeup in the North Carolina State Auditor's Office. Dallas Woodhouse resigned from his role. He was the state auditor's elections liaison. His resignation happened days after he was reassigned after allegations of meddling and local election decisions. That included a push for local elections boards to close certain early voting plans and polling locations. In his resignation letter, Woodhouse said some of his recommendations could have been handled differently. For more on Woodhouse's resignation, head to the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com.
New this morning, former Durham Public Schools Superintendent Pascal Mubenga has resigned from his role in Buffalo, New York. Mubenga stepped down as Buffalo Public Schools Superintendent last night. Now, our NBC affiliate in Buffalo reports the decision came as a surprise, and the reason is unknown. Mubenga had only been in that role for a year. He took the job in Buffalo after resigning as Durham Public Schools Superintendent back in 2024 over budgetary concerns.
Senator Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham Nordone, will be sworn in today to serve out the rest of her brother's term. South Carolina's governor appointed her to the role yesterday. Nordone will be South Carolina's first female senator. Her appointment came just a few hours after President Trump wrote on social media that he recommended her for the position. Nardone will hold the seat until the end of Graham's term on January 3rd. Under South Carolina law, candidates who want to run for Graham's seat have 1 week starting July 21st to file for a special primary election. That election will be held August 11th. Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville says one of his former staffers is the person who called 911 for Graham. Tuberville says Graham called the staffer and said he was experiencing chest pains. The staffer, who was working for Graham, called 911 after Graham said he hadn't yet. Graham's office said he died from a rupture in his aorta due to a hardening of his arteries. Right now on WRAL's YouTube page, we have his sister's reaction to her appointment, how his hometown church is remembering him, and messages from President Trump and more of Graham's congressional colleagues.
A Wake Med police officer is facing child sex charges. Chad Pendleton turned himself into the Johnson County Sheriff's Office yesterday. He's charged with statutory sex offense with a child. He's worked for Wake Med since 2023 and also worked there from 2014 to 2018. Now, before that, he worked with the Morrisville Police Department. The hospital system told us the allegations are concerning. Pendleton is suspended. It's also said the allegations are from a 2022 incident and the alleged offenses did not take place at Wake Med.
Ken, that highly anticipated consumer price index report just dropped moments ago. For the folks of you unfamiliar, this basically is kind of a gauge of inflation in terms of how much you're paying for certain items like your gasoline, your energy, food, etc. Now, there are different ways you can read this headline from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but one way says that, the gasoline right now is down with the all items index rising 3.5%. And that second part there is specifically annually if we're talking about over a 12-month period. But the consumer price index for all urban consumers fell 0.4%. Now, the index for all items less food and energy was unchanged, it looks like June, and up 2.6% over the year. But the reason why we take a look at this whenever these drop is because we've seen prices going up for various items, including gasoline, obviously oil being a big thing for consumers as the war in Iran continues and the Strait of Hormuz situation, a bit of uncertainty there. We'll be, of course, getting you any more updates in terms of what is coming up next for this, as people, yes, everywhere are saying that they're still paying a lot for their energy, for their groceries and gasoline as well.
An important update. Thanks, Chris. A man who was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Maine was not the target of an arrest warrant. That's according to the office of Senator Angus King. A vigil was held last night to remember the 26-year-old Colombian man who died in the shooting. Two organizations say he was authorized to work in the U.S. and had been issued a Social Security number. The Department of Homeland Security and ICE was conducting surveillance on the last known address of an undocumented immigrant. They say a man got in a car and tried to drive away, and an officer fired his weapon, quote, fearing for public safety, unquote. The agent has been placed on leave, which is standard protocol.
Well, today we'll get an update on the water supply at Falls Lake as we remain in a drought. Recent rain has raised the lake levels about a foot since last Wednesday, but the lake remains 10 feet below where it was this time last year. Until the water supply improves significantly, restrictions will remain in place for Raleigh water customers. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will give its weekly report about the water supply this morning around 10 o'clock. You can find out a more in-depth discussion on this drought issue on the WRAL YouTube page. That includes the current water restrictions in place and the drought's impact on our humidity.
The city of Raleigh says more expensive parking rates will go into effect next month. It'll go up 25 cents for metered spots, and it will be $1 more expensive at parking decks. The city says it needs more money to keep up with costs. The city will still offer 2 hours of free parking inside most parking decks.
Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is up to $637 million. The cash value for the prize is $278 million before taxes. No one has hit the jackpot since March. You can watch tonight's drawing on WRAL just before our 11 o'clock news. Well, time now 8:41. Coming up, breaking silence. Friends of Nolan Wells who were with him are speaking out about the final hours before that teen's death, what they reveal.
Plus, repayment plan confusion. The clock is ticking for federal borrowers to switch their repayment plans. I'll break down the concerns over the added expense.
And after a nice break from the heat, the high heat is making a comeback, but storms will eventually bring an end to that. We're going to walk you through the timeline to all the changes between now and your weekend plans coming up. Coming up on 8:45, and we're giving you a live look outside the Natural Science Museum in downtown Raleigh. Some sunshine and some fair weather clouds mixed. Hey, we're looking at temperatures in the 80s today, but the 90s have been a lot more common this year than in most. Our yearly average is 43 days in the 90s. We've already had 38 of those days. We'll get close to the 90-degree mark today with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, clouds decreasing from north to south, a little bit of a break in the humidity, but overall a nice Tuesday shaping up for you. But high pressure eventually is going to bring the 90s back and bring them back with a vengeance. We're looking at some high heat later this week, showing you how close we come to record highs and whether or not heat advisories could be issued coming up in less than 5 minutes.
Hi, Chris. Weather and traffic every 10 minutes. Let's take a spin around the Beltline, starting with I-40 Lake Wheeler Road. You can see the westbound lanes moving away from us this morning, moving rather slowly this morning. So as we give you a look at what you can expect, right now we're just looking at a 5-minute delay. So once you get past Gorman Street, it's clear sailing. So let's hop over to the northern section of the Beltline. Right now you're looking at an 8-minute delay, the bulk of that congestion between Capitol Boulevard and the I-87 440 interchange.
Thanks, Ken. The countdown clock has started ticking for some federal student loan borrowers. July 1st, loan service providers started the process of reaching out to borrowers to start their 90-day deadline to switch from the Save repayment plan. I spoke to one borrower who says his options are tight.
Student loan borrowers on the Biden-era Save plan, they're starting to get emails letting them know that their 90-day clock is ticking to pick a new repayment plan.
The only thing I can do is, tighten the budgets more and somehow come up with the money.
The earliest deadline to leave the Save plan will be September 29th. Your specific deadline, though, that depends on when you receive an email from your loan service provider. For example, Nelnet says it's reaching out to its borrowers in waves, so you could receive a notice as late as March of next year. Borrowers, you do have rights. I'll walk you through what those are tonight at 6.
All right, more work is happening on the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. President Trump says the landmark was drained yesterday for repairs. Well, the president claims vandals are responsible for gashing the pool's lining. At least 3 people were arrested and charged with destruction of property. All of them pleaded not guilty. Now, since April, the Trump administration has spent more than $14 million on the project.
As we await 2 different autopsies in the death of Mississippi college football player Nolan Wells, a friend is shedding new light on what may have happened to him. 18-year-old Wells went to Horn Island on a boat with friends on the 4th of July. His body was found 2 days later. Many have speculated that this video that you see here circulating on social media shows Wells in an altercation. However, another teen who was also on the island but not on the same boat says the video is actually him having a disagreement. Wells' close friend Javon Williams, who last saw Nolan on the 4th, says he would have done anything to help his friend.
That's my boy, and I want him to find justice. Like that, like this whole case thing, like whatever, like this whole situation, and none of this adds up to me.
The Jackson County Sheriff's Office says the investigating remains ongoing. The sheriff also says his department has been interviewing witnesses and has been in contact with other agencies, including the FBI.
The state fire marshal's office reports fireworks caused nearly $4.5 million in property damage this 4th of July. 3 people died from fireworks-related causes, including a child in our area. 7-year-old boy Kashmir Parker died in Dunn after a firework came through his window and sparked a fire. A funeral is being held for him today. A woman was arrested in connection with his death. Brittany Armstrong is now charged with involuntary manslaughter.
A Wake County park is shutting down for needed maintenance. The Marla WRAL Park in Cary will temporarily close from July 20th until August 7th. That includes the Kids Together playground. During the park-wide maintenance project, all park amenities will be off limits. Erling Haaland's strange United States souvenir.
Interesting. And a thrilling MLB home run derby. Here's a look at what's trending. Listen, that walk-off MLB home run derby last night, an instant classic out of Philadelphia. Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker was down to his final swing and needed 4 straight home runs to beat Philly star Kyle Schwarber. Well, he got exactly that, sending his final home run deep into the left field bleachers.
Oh, that's incredible, incredible. Now, soccer star Erling Haaland returned to Norway with an unusual souvenir. He was spotted getting off the plane with a taxidermy raccoon. Yeah, that's right, you heard me right. He later posted a photo on his own Instagram with the caption, "It followed me home." Haaland and Team Norway was eliminated from the FIFA World Cup over the weekend after losing to England 2-1. That's an interesting souvenir to bring home. I don't know if I would have brought that with me, but.
Exactly.
The 2026 World Cup semifinals get started today on Fox 50 with a match between France and Spain. And tomorrow it's England against Argentina. Both of those games kick off at 3 o'clock. The winners will play each other in the final on Sunday on Fox 50.
And speaking of sports, we got the All-Star game right here on Fox 50 later.
That's right. Yeah, that's going to be good. Hey, Jordan Walker, to go beating Schwarber in his home stadium, that's
a classic.
Absolutely, yes.
So we got to talk about this pesky dew point.
I'm not a fan of it.
No.
Yeah. Got to bring it down just a little bit, you know? Everybody says it's not the heat, it's the humidity. All that heat and humidity led to this. I'm going to show you this video from James in Fuquay. Really great shot here. Great, looks like drone video. And you can see the downpour just rushing in from the left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side, even looks like a little bit of mid-level rotation, but a lot of that is just the rising air, and then boom, there you go. Great stuff, James. Thanks for sending that in. But yeah, it is warm, it is humid. We're not going to see scenes like that today as we look live at Fenton and Cary. Temperatures mid-70s as of about 9 o'clock. Then as we get toward the lunch break, we're around 81 to 83. Between about 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., temperatures are in the upper 80s today. And that's going to be the case pretty much area-wide. There's no big deviation in our temperatures. Everybody peaks at about 87 to 89 degrees. And then Ken was saying, yeah, we got to talk about that dew point. It is kind of high. That dew point is the measure of mugginess. It comes down a little bit heading into the afternoon. It'll be in the low to mid 60s, so at least that's less humid. It's not entirely comfortable, but we'll take the little victories where we can get them, especially when you look at what's coming later this week. The orange bar, that's your high temperature. The red, that's your heat index. We could be looking at some heat advisory issuance as we head toward Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday. But as we get into the weekend, this heat wave starts to break a little bit. High pressure is what tends to lead to these heat waves. You get sinking air beneath it that really heats up the air. Now, at the same time, you've got low pressure that's off toward Quebec and Ontario. So in between those two air masses is where you tend to get your fronts, your storm systems, and that's what we're looking at as we head into the weekend. But up until then, we're just baking once again. High temperatures mid-90s tomorrow. We're near triple digits Thursday and Friday in the Triangle and Sandhills. Both of those days about 1 degree shy of a record high. Again, splitting hairs there. Saturday, very hot with some showers and storms. Could see a few of those on the strong side because of the heat. And then as we go late weekend into early next week, at least the storms take a little sting out of the air with highs in the low 90s. Destiny?
Thanks, Chris. Now, before we head to break, here are the winning lottery numbers, and we'll get another check on weather and traffic. That's coming up next.